Voluntary PIDs are the kind of PIDs most people have in mind when they think of public interest reporting. A PID is voluntary when a public official makes a report because they have information that they believe shows or tends to show serious wrongdoing. The maker is not under a legal obligation to make the report, and it is not an ordinary part of their role to report serious wrongdoing.
If you make a PID, you're entitled to protections under the Public Interest Disclosures Act 2022. This includes protection from detrimental action, maintaining the confidentiality of information that identifies you, and protection from civil and criminal liability as a result of making a PID.
All New South Wales public officials can make a voluntary PID. Most public officials are easy to identify if they work in public sector agencies. Other public officials include contractors, subcontractors, and volunteers who are engaged to deliver services on behalf of an agency or exercise the functions of that agency.
Every agency must have a PID policy, which needs to be published on its website and intranet so that all staff can access it. This policy explains how to make a report and who to make it to.
A voluntary PID could be a formal or informal complaint or come up as part of a discussion someone has with their manager. You do not have to say you are making a PID or quote the legislation. You can make a voluntary PID in writing or orally, and it can be anonymous.
Voluntary PIDs can be made to a public official's manager. This is someone who directly or indirectly supervises them, or who they directly or indirectly report to. Once a report has been received by a manager, it's their responsibility to make sure the report is communicated to a disclosure officer on the PID maker's behalf. You might ask your manager to accompany you to speak with the disclosure officer, or you may prefer for them to pass on the information to the disclosure officer themselves.
You can also make a voluntary PID to a disclosure officer for any agency. Heads of agencies are disclosure officers. Other disclosure officers are nominated within the agency. Contact details for disclosure officers within an agency are listed in an agency's PID policy. PIDs can also be made to integrity agencies, such as the ICAC and the New South Wales Ombudsman.
Voluntary PIDs can also be made to a minister or minister's office, but only in writing. In very limited circumstances, voluntary PIDs can be made to a journalist or MP.
Once an agency receives a voluntary PID, it must decide how it will deal with it. An agency should let the PID maker know how it will deal with the PID and provide updates on the progress of the investigation at least every 3 months.
PID makers should also be provided with wellbeing support by the appropriate people in the agency. This could be a manager, a support person, or human resources.
For more information on how to make a PID, refer to your agency's PID policy. If you need further advice or assistance understanding the PID Act, access the Ombudsman's guidelines.
This video has been produced with professional actors. The PID Act 2022 will commence on the 1st of October 2023. The Public Interest Disclosures Act 1994 is still in force until that time. For advice, contact the PID unit at the New South Wales Ombudsman's office.